With the upcoming release of the Kamen Rider Geats summer movie, I figured it was finally time to go back a year and take a look at the previous summer movie where he made his debut, Kamen Rider Revice, Battle Familia. Oh, and Birth of Chimera, since that exists and ties into the movie, I guess we might as well talk about that as well. Hello everyone, it's thomasjujube, and before I jump into my thoughts on the Revice Summer Duology, be sure to let me know what you thought of the two things down in the comment section, and also keep in mind that I've already made a lot of Revice videos, and I've got more on the way, so if you're interested in hearing more of my thoughts, be sure to check out the description for some other videos, my Patreon link, or just hit the subscribe button. I watched these in the chronological order, which I assume is how Toei wanted you to watch it, because I think Birth of Chimera did come out first, and so I watched it like that, and afterwards I was very upset. Let's start with Birth of Chimera. It's bad, in my opinion. I should clarify, this is all my opinion. The beginning of it is just really weird because it has two setups and neither of them are paid off in the special or like in anything. It opens on Hiromi randomly fighting Azuma, and then we never see Hiromi again in the special, and then we also see George making the Chimera driver and he does the Ichigo pose, which is pretty cool, but then he only shows up at the end with the other Chimera driver. In this and the movie, it's never explained how Hiromi found Azuma, they never interact again, and then we later find out that Azuma just was living as a hermit, so it's not even explained how Hiromi found him, why Hiromi was just fighting this random old man in the forest. If Hiromi didn't wander to this forest, would Azuma never even wake up? Would the movie not happen? What's going on? And I get it's all supposed to tie into the movie, so not everything will be explained, but it feels like the special does make this effort to tell a self-contained story without the main Revice characters, so it feels weird to have the actual characters in the beginning. Maybe just don't include those and put that in the movie, so then the special is just about the new family. But then again, the self-contained story about the family is actually pretty bland and generic. It feels like Nozomu's family was introduced here just because Revice, the show, has a family dynamic and they wanted to connect to that, but in the show it's actually a fun family dynamic. Here it's just the dad is the suit actor for Kamen Rider and that's his whole thing. The mom is sick and that's her whole thing. Nozomu has zero personality, like he's just so boring to watch. Then his cousin is introduced separately, and I didn't even realize they were cousins at first, but he's actually pretty interesting, I think. I liked his little story of wanting to join Phoenix, but it got dissolved, so now he just becomes a Kamen Rider. But it makes the whole thing feel unfocused, because the cousin is like sometimes the main focus, because he's the Chimera in the title of the special, but then Nozomu is like the actual focus, because he's the one we see with the family, and the whole thing is setting up his backstory for the movie. I don't know, maybe we just needed more interactions between the characters, or just stick to one of them, don't focus on the guy that dies. And then Azuma just kind of shows up and works with the villains. It's like just this weird contrived setup, so we have these factions for the movie, I guess. And then, like, the worst part is then I move on to Battle Familia, and it does not improve Battle Familia in any way, and I would actually say it makes Battle Familia worse, and Battle Familia is already pretty bad. Everything of importance that happens in the special is explained or shown in the movie with more detail. Like Azuma's backstory just has like one clip repeated in Birth of Chimera, and then we just get the whole thing in the movie. But okay, the special is called Birth of Chimera. I assume it's the birth of Nozomu as Chimera. What does he do in the movie? He does nothing. He transforms into Chimera in the first 30 minutes. Then he gets his ass beat. Then he sits around for the rest of the movie. He's not a character for the rest of the movie. He's not involved in anything. And even the thing he was involved in the beginning is so minuscule. It's just like a little fight and he gets a henshin. That's it. What was the point of creating this whole special to set up this character if he's not even part of the final battle? Is it so we could have Juo Tiger name her baby after him, even though they had zero interactions? I don't think he really did anything for her to decide, I'm going to name my child after you. It kind of feels like they realized Chimera as a suit doesn't really get a lot of screen time and they have to sell that toy, so they just went, hey, let's make a whole other special, and now you want to buy the toy, don't you? No. A little bit. So we didn't need Birth of Chimera. Just make Nozomu some dude who's been hunting Azuma for a few years and he got the Chimera Vice stamp from George or whatever, and then George making the Chimera driver is part of the opening, and then there we go. I got 30 minutes back. But the movie still sucks though, and a big reason is that the whole thing happens in 30 minutes. The opening establishes that this is going to be about the Igarashi siblings trying to save their parents, and then they do that in 30 minutes. The movie's an hour long. So the stakes just just completely drop halfway through the movie. Part of the reason for that is also because all the big moments and the trailer shots and all the stuff is in the first 30 minutes. It's like the writers made the movie, filmed it, then realized they only had a 30-minute cut, and then they just kept filming random scenes, and that filled up the rest of the movie. I like the concepts of the demons fighting their human counterparts, even if it's kind of redundant because Vice and Kagero just did that a lot in the show, but it was fun to see Lovekov become like an actual threat in a human body. Lovekov is pretty funny in this, but that constitutes one action set piece and then it's undone. Kamen Rider Igarashi is a thing. I don't like that. The mom has angel powers or something. It's literally never addressed. You're not like, Mom, how did you do that? They just go with the flow. That's the name of the song that plays. It's only used to give us a new toy. The new toy's cool. The form isn't, but I'll give them a pass. I like the idea. I don't think that suit was gonna look good regardless. And then the fight lasts 1 minute against foot soldiers. Then it never appears again. It is of zero importance to the movie. Now, this isn't the first Rider movie form to not be used in the final battle or even debut in the first half and never appear again, but the fight scene was so short, it has no importance to anything. It's just so random. Foot soldiers are like a big deal in the movie for some reason. That's what Geats fights in his cameo. I think it's my favorite pre-cameo ever in Kamen Rider, partially for nostalgia because I watched the theater recordings over and over and over and over, but I also just really liked how it showcased entry form, the solo magnum, the boost time, the music is also really cool. It's also kind of funny to think about why was Ace just dicking around with some gift juniors. Okay, while I'm talking about things I like, Azuma is pretty cool actually. Not the Daimon suit, it's fine. The opening flashback is a really cool addition to the lore because we never got to see the creation of the gift coffin, the stamp, how Akaishi formed the contract that we hear about in the show, and we didn't need to see it, but it's nice to see it. Then it fits into the show really well by making him Akaishi's counterpart, and now that Akaishi and Gift were defeated in the season, now he just comes out of retirement, I guess, and is like, I'm going to fight people. And then he's a badass. Part of that is because of the actor, because he was previously a Sentai and Ultraman character, so now he's a Kamen Rider. But he also had some really incredible fights, especially out of suit ones, and especially the one at the end. Okay, now I'm done talking about things I like. The ending to this movie is so weird because the parents are saved halfway through. They had to give Azuma this weird obsession with Iki halfway through, and it feels really random and out of place, and then it just leads to the final battle being Iki versus Daimon that ends with them fist bumping. They crammed all the interesting ideas in the first half so that it's just unclear what movie they were trying to make. It's called Battle of Familia, so you hear that, it's like, okay, it's gonna be about the family that the show is about. The family got captured, we're gonna go save the family. The movie form is the siblings of the family fusing thanks to the mom that isn't a rider. And then after that all happens in the first half, the family dynamic just does not come into play at all afterwards, to the point where the final battle is Revice, just Revice, not even Revice, finding the main villain. The only way I can describe it is it's just narratively boring. There's nothing interesting about Iki fighting the main villain. There's no other stakes that's happening, like saving his parents or whatever, or using the movie form at least. It's just this random fight. The Deadmans are in this movie too. Did it feel out of place how I mentioned them? It's because it feels out of place in the movie. Did people really want this at the time? Like, were we really rooting for the characters to get in their outfits and say the catchphrase again, even though they did that in the show? It's not like a novelty here. Now I'm just uncomfortable watching it because by this point Hana and Tamaki have cast aside the dead man's name, and to see them pose with Orteka and say the catchphrase is just really weird. I don't know why we did that. Orteka is so stupid in this. Oh my god, how are you going to put a Kamen Rider belt on a character and then they don't transform with it? He just wears it so they can break into the bubble, and to be fair, it gives us probably the funniest shot in all of Kamen Rider Revice, but also I don't think that's what they were intending to do, so that kind of explains the quality of the movie, I guess. I'm fine with Hana and Tamaki showing up and fighting, but you didn't need to put them in the dead man's outfit. You didn't need to bring Orteka along, or if you did, have him transform into Chimera, or don't do any of that. Have George give Nozomu the extra Chimera driver and have him break the barrier so he does something, so the Birth of Chimera special wasn't useless. The cherry on top top of the whole thing is that Vice is really annoying in this. He definitely grew on me in the season, and after the finale, I actually do like him as a character, and I did enjoy his fourth wall breaks, but I don't know, something about the ones in this movie are so annoying to me. Like the part at the beginning where he explains Kamen Rider Revice, the show, as the title shows up. I don't know, I was like, Get out of here. Let's just watch the movie already. And then he's gonna make a joke about them being in a movie every goddamn minute. He says, wow, it's like we're in a movie. Wow, he's got a perfect body like a Hollywood star. Wow, guys, it's a movie. Get it, movie. Don't you love the movie? No. I thought Birth of Chimera was mediocre, but Battle of Familia was just kind of dreadful, and it made me even more upset at the Chimera special. I hope the next Revice movies are better. I'm still going to watch those and talk about them here on the channel. So if you want to be there when I do, be sure to check out my Patreon. For only $2, you'll get your name on the screen right now, exclusive behind the scenes content, and early access to all my videos for only $2. If you don't have $2 spare, then just make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Kamen Rider content, and I hope to see you next time.